What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in. This is Tom Hickey from 2020 Media, and you are listening to MBT Bank's On the Scene podcast, reaching over 250,000 readers of the Jewish Ledger, weha.com, and West Hartford Magazine, live 24/7, 365, brought to you any way that you listen to podcasts. So thanks for tuning in today. And we will start by saying hello to my co-hosts, Bob Carr.
Hey,
Hi,
good morning,
Bob.
Tom. Hey, Tom. Thanks, Tom. Tom Hickey, along with myself, Koshik Makati, Ronnie Newton, is a founder and owner of weha.com. Tom brings to West Hartford the Connecticut Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, which is West Hartford's original lifestyle magazine, the various tastes of West Hartford, the best of West Hartford, which will be celebrating its 10th anniversary this fall, and other fun events throughout the year. Our podcast is assembled and posted by the Modern Observer Group of Middletown, Connecticut. And today our guest is Bob Keiser from APK Charities. Welcome, Bob.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
We're thrilled to have you, Bob. One thing I would love to encourage all of our listeners to do, it will only take 5 minutes of their time. Go to the apkcharities.org website. That's APK Andrew Peterson Keel, who is Bob's son, apkcharities.org, and listen to the 5-minute video of Bob and Helen telling the story of Andrew. I'm telling you, it is well worth your time and effort to not only hear about Andrew, but to hear about about what so many of our service people have gone through in their families over the course of really our lives and the whole bit. So I encourage you to take that too. I would have a tissue box next to you, while you do it, because you'll probably need it. So thanks, Bob, and welcome to On the Scene.
Well, this is unique for me. Thank you.
So
this is a first. This is a first. Yeah,
that's right. That's it. Plenty of TV shows, and I'll give a shout out. I wasn't planning on it, but I'll give a shout out to Dennis House, because he has been great to Bob and to Helen and the APK Charities, and has been a wonderful supporter, along with NBC. Who was it? Bob Maxson, Bob, because you've known Bob for a number of years.
Yep. Yes, Bob Maxson, and now Kevin Nathan.
There you go. So it's all good. It just keeps growing. Oh, and actually, I should say too, it started with Renee Danino, right? I think she was on the board quite a few years ago or something, or at least a liaison.
Yes, Renee was the very first media person who really gave us a hand when she was with iHeart. She just, I guess, retired just recently. But yeah, she was wonderful. And
that's news to me. I didn't even know that. Wow. Well, congratulations to her.
Yeah. So no, she's a wonderful person as well. So they've all been very supportive of our effort.
Well, there's good reason to be supportive, and that's how Bob and I met through a good friend, as well. One of the things that really has impressed me greatly, and I'd love to have you speak to all of our listeners, Bob, about it, is, what APK Charities does and how much they help the Connecticut veterans. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was some big, huge number, like you've given back, was it like $500,000 or something to Connecticut veterans over the course of the years?
Actually, yes. This was the 4th anniversary of Andrew's passing. He died March 11th of 2013, and in the last 11 years, a combination of supporting other military charities, and then most recently over the last, I'd say 3.5 or 4 years, we've donated, I think my latest tally is about $530,000 for a little mom and pop foundation to donate it's been quite a ride, and the need has been growing as well. So
It's an amazing number. I mean, it's just any number would be amazing, but $500,000 is an amazing number. Bob, share with some of our, I don't know if you have, something that comes to mind, but share a couple of examples of things that that APK has enabled, Connecticut veterans to do that they would not have been able to do without the help of APK Charities.
well, we actually oftentimes fill in the gap between what, let's say, the VA or a state organization can provide and what the real need is. We've worked with a couple of different organizations, a couple that come to mind right away that we've received a lot of need. It has to do with veterans who are of my age group. I'm 75, so you're talking about the Vietnam era veteran, and oftentimes we're starting to see they're getting in financial trouble. They end up in some sort of an eviction procedure with the courts, and the landlord, and so we've had a number of situations where we've helped veterans there. Um, we've also been involved with helping a number of Afghan interpreters. Actually, we're working with an Afghan interpreter right now, providing financial assistance. We got a car for him and his family. We got furniture for his apartment. We've helped with his utility bills. So those are the kinds of things that we're working on. A state as small as Connecticut with a very small military footprint, you'd be surprised, the needs that are out there.
Bob, one of the stories. Okay, Bob.
I had a question on it because I wanted to throw in there. Last 5, 6 months, I had the opportunity to visit a homeless shelter in Hartford. A friend of mine is the development director there, and there's a whole floor set up for homeless veterans, and many of them are Vietnam vets. Is there across the board that a problem for all the conflicts, or is it specific to any one particular war?
I would say it's more so for that era. Yeah, I would definitely, I would agree with your assessment of it. Um, we have, well, actually, when we came out of COVID, there was quite a need. Apparently, Columbus House, which is out of New Haven, they also have a military component in Middletown. There were 25 or 30 homeless veterans that needed to be placed in permanent housing, and they were mostly Vietnam era, but there were others that were younger. So there is a need out there across the board, but I'd say it's more heavily tilted towards the Vietnam era.
Great. Bob, one of the things I was gonna ask you, and I don't remember, I'm sorry to say exactly who it was, and we don't need to use names or anything, but really, I don't know, to me, it just sort of exemplified this great spirit of how people want to help. And it was that story of I don't remember who it was, the veteran who was riding his bike or something or whatever, to work, and then you got him a car. Like, could you talk through, that whole process? Because it was just amazing to me.
Yes, actually, that came through Columbus House.
Oh, it did.
What we use different organizations to vet the individual so that we're sure that it's a true need. This situation came through Columbus House. He was a veteran. He was a younger veteran. He had served, I think, 2 or 3 years. He had a couple of children. He was a single parent. He was living in, I think, North Haven, and he was riding his bicycle to his job at Amazon. He had finally gotten a job at Amazon. He had an apartment, and he's riding his bike. During all kinds of weather, during the winter, it would take him an hour to get there, I guess. And so we actually, through a friend here in Madison, they had a car, a Subaru, and they were going to sell it, and they only were going to get like a couple $1,000s for it. So they donated the car to us. We took it down to J&J Auto in Madison. Let me put in a shameless plug for them.
That's what I was looking for,
Because,
Bob. That's good. That's great.
yeah, right, because John Daniels at J&J Auto in Madison, actually he has serviced and repaired 4 automobiles for us that were donated to veterans. But in this case, it was I think it was a Subaru, I think, and we got it serviced. He put a couple $1,000 to it for free, and parts and so forth. And we gave it to the veteran and just transferred it over to him for, I think it was $1, whatever, to the DMV, and he's got a car. Yeah, we've done that 3-4 times, I think. So
Wow. Yeah. Well, and you can see, that number that you gave at the beginning of the, of the podcast of $500,000. It's really much more than that, because we're not even, giving us
no,
assigning a value to, how much that car was worth, how much that time was worth, or the out-of-pocket expense would have been to have that
right,
car, fixed, or, whatever. It just
right. So
amazing.
it's this, yeah, it's a simple transaction that changes the life of that individual. Um, and it's kind of a unique thing to do, because actually, a real quick story is that Andrew was deploying out of Fort Hood for his first deployment, and he had his old car there. I mean, it was hardly worth anything, and he ran into a young private who was just arriving to Fort Hood with his wife, and Andrew was deploying to Afghanistan, and he didn't know what to do with this automobile that was basically worthless, as a trade-in.
Yeah.
And he just transferred the car over to this young man and his wife who had nothing. He showed up at Fort Hood with his wife and a couple of bags, and Andrew donated the car to him. And I'm thinking, this is what we've been doing. We did it
Yeah,
four or
I was just
five
going to say that.
times.
That brings it full circle. Andrew started all this.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Yeah, it was a unique story. It was pretty cool. So,
Thank you. One of the things, Bob, and I know, I don't believe or it's going to happen, but on a smaller scale. One of the things that you did do when Andrew had passed was you had done this, the 5K, and
mhm,
for all the listeners, if you're like me, I embarrassingly knew nothing about the military service, and I remember, Bob, you saying, everyone can, pack a ruck, with cans to be donated to local soup kitchens, and I didn't
right,
even know what a ruck was. So,
right, right, right.
talk a little bit about the 5K and how that works.
Well, actually, it was about 4 or 5 months after Andrew passed. Our casualty assistance officer had this brilliant idea that we should do something to honor Andrew. I mean, it was kind of the last thing we were thinking about only 6 months afterwards. So, but we said, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll do a 5K to honor Andrew." And so, in November of 2014, we had our first APK 5K and 5K ruck. And people don't know what a ruck is unless you've been in the military. Ruck is carrying a rucksack with typically, I think it's around 80 or so, pounds, and you put in a long distance ruck, and it's a training exercise specifically oftentimes for special forces. And so we had our first ruck that year in 2014, and we thought a different way of just carrying dead weight would be to have individuals fill their ruck or their backpack with non-perishable food. And they certainly didn't carry 80 pounds. We set a much lower limit on what a male or female would carry, but I think the male would carry 20 pounds and a female would carry 10 pounds of non-perishable food. And so we did that, every year. And one year we had, I think, around 250 people carrying food, and we donated over 5,000 pounds of non-perishable food, to the St. George Food Pantry and the Guilford food pantry.
Unbelievable. You want to
Pretty
give
cool.
Yeah, and actually, you made me think of it. I think St. George Men's Club deserves a nice plug too. They've been very helpful in helping you raise necessary funds, right?
Oh, they've been wonderful. The St. George Men's Group, part of St. George Church in Guilford. Oh yeah, they've helped us, organize the race every year, provided volunteers, did the cooking for food for the after race party. Yeah, just a great group of guys. Non-political. It's all about giving back, social justice, and it's just a great group of guys.
Before we run out of time, Bob, one thing I would love to have you share because again, without getting political, but there was a huge effort by you and by your wife Helen, Andrew's mom, to bring Andrew's interpreter from Afghanistan back to Connecticut. So could you just talk for a little bit about that accomplishment and how that happened?
Absolutely. Andrew's interpreter, well, he had a couple of interpreters over the year that he was there, but the one most recently, his name is Abdul, and actually Abdul was shot. He was wounded the day that Andrew uh, was killed, and he came. Well, the story quickly is that he had his SIV, his special immigration visa for himself, his wife, and his two children. And then his wife just had a new baby. And this was in October of 2019. And he was having trouble getting over here. He had all the visas. And so we made a couple of phone calls. Actually, Helen did. And the person Helen called the embassy in Afghanistan and greased the skids so that Abdul could get here. And so Abdul arrived in 2019 with his three children and his wife, and is successful. He's living in Virginia Beach. He's got a couple more children now that are both American citizens through birth, and he's got a small business, and we've helped him out a couple of times financially to get him started. But he's a wonderful guy, and he came to Arlington one year when we visited Andrew, and he said to us, I can't understand why all of you Americans came over to help us when you have all of this here in the United States. I
Mhm.
just don't understand it. Why would you leave this to come over and help us? He's so grateful,
Mhm.
and he'll be a contributing, American citizen. It's just a wonderful story. It's a good feel story.
Well, on behalf of all of our listeners, I want to acknowledge and thank both you and Helen. You are forces to be remembered, and I encourage everyone to please check out apkcharities.org website, and I'll put the plug in for Bob and for Helen. Roll out make a donation, roll out your pocketbooks because every little bit helps, and these were just a few stories of the wonderful things that have been able to happen just because of the existence of APK Charities. And unfortunately, all of this is made possible because, a great guy like Andrew, was killed in action, and that sort of started all of this. So please check out apkcharities.org. Bob, anything that we forgot to say or that you would like to add before we sign off?
No, I would just say that, Helen is the guiding light for the foundation, for the charity. And, she has been a wonderful model for other, Gold Star mothers out there. And if you see a license plate that says Gold Star Family on it, please recognize, their service. What that means is that their family member was killed in action. And so if you see a Gold Star Family plate, no matter what state it's in, please take the moment to recognize them. I'm sure they would appreciate it. And again, Tom and Bob, thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Right.
You're very welcome, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. And again, another shameless plug to our sponsor, NBT Bank, for making all of this possible, and not only bringing wonderful people like Bob to all of us to learn more about the sacrifices that the military make, and what their families do or don't do, afterwards to keep their memory alive. So let's give one big on the scene shout out to Andrew, and encourage everyone to please check out apkcharities.org.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.